let's talk about music to life.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, let's do a top of the. We started recording, by the way, you guys. And Esme, I'm so glad we can do the two cameras. That's great. She can do it from her side. I can do it from mine. So just to put you in context, right? Let's just do some
What do you
quick
mean you're
context.
doing two cameras? You mean you're
We
both
are.
recording?
I feel like I want to share this moment with you a little bit because I think you have some, given what you understand about the showcase, you have some things that you are curious about talking through. And I mean, you mentioned one of them, right? You mentioned Kerrville and the kind of growth of, and sort of folk music in an evolutionary state, right?
Well,
And
I
and
think,
yeah,
yeah, if I could speak for Peter just a moment, sort of a way of introducing my my loved partner, my beloved partner. Uh, Peter really introduced me and Mary both to the Kerrville Folk Festival. I mean, it was at the Kerrville Folk Festival that Music to Life first really got its start by supporting young singer songwriters and bringing them into, what was it, Threadgill, I think was the name of the little
The
mini
Threadgill
auditorium
Theater, yes.
inside the folk festival. Yeah, where 10 finalists would sing one song. That was a pretty bizarre implementation because one one artist would come out on stage and sing one song, and the audience had to process like 10 different concepts, but all of the concepts, I think, underscored what folk music is capable of doing better than perhaps any musical medium, and that is to focus on those common concerns that we have in everyday life, in governmental life, in environmental life, in issues of equity. And to that end, I think it's responsible in some way for the matriculation into this advanced work that Music to Life is doing with activist
What
artists.
what Kerrville was about has a lot to do, of course, with the Folk Alliance and Music to Life, because essentially it asks the question, what is it in your music that can help to make the world a more humane and caring place? We ask ourselves that question because we stand on the shoulders of people who embraced that point of view, particularly Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie and the Weavers. And the focus that you had, which was so wonderful for Kerrville, was that the premise of the songs was that they were being written very specifically about making the world a better place, or they were part of the language of that attempt or that aspiration. Intimate communication, and by the way, acoustic communication, as everybody now, even when the boss was on Broadway, he unplugged. You get a much more sensitive kind of communication when you don't have a wall of sound coming out. Although there are wonderful ways in which people communicate in that electronic arena.
Yeah, we've seen some of them, in today's showcase here, because it, like the song says that you and I are going to do together, it's more about the message and less about the style. Uh, there is the exposure, as you so beautifully pointed out, of the heart.
Was it the Caesar shadows or Rosa Parks that day? Some say Dr. King or Gandhi that sent them on their way. No matter who your mentors are, it's pretty plain to see that if you've been to jail for justice, you're in the company. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand. No sitting in and lying down, raise, take a stand, and sound all the freedom.
This is kind of leading into this kind of, how is activism in music different potentially, or is there a way for music and activism to be different these days than it has been? How does music get generated, right? It gets generated from these incredibly deeply feeling artists who have the power and the capacity to bring this healing to community. But if they're constantly, I just think about how the voices we're not hearing in these arenas, right? Or the artists that just don't know how to connect with the school, or, been talking about prisons. We've been talking about, how do I get I got to pay rent. I got to put a roof over my head. So one of the things we're committed to is underwriting the work of these artists, in the capacity of this sort of fellowship, stipend, whatever, so they can truly give their gift to the community.
Now, if we feel that music and the arts, that Open Hearts, could really help, and no doubt it will, how are we going to get this government that has this kind of heart to create a WPA? That's what I'm working on. And I'm writing this song because I was in we had this activists meeting with during the campaign. It was 200 people on the Zoom calls. And of course, they were thinking of writing notes or whatever. And I said, piped up, and I said, this was at the end of it. If you will help to disseminate this, I'll write a song that celebrates this. And that's what this came out of.
It's not that kind of music, he said with a smile. It's more about the message, less about the style. Then he played a chord and each of us would try to learn a part. He brought us all together singing music from the heart. A lesson in harmony, and we'd make that joyful sound. It was a song about the spirits reaching for that higher ground. Sometimes it was a banjo, songs from other lands. Sometimes it was a 12-string, or just the sound of clapping hands. But there always was a moment kind of hard to understand, when the music became bigger than the man. It was a song about justice, asking, won't you take a stand? It was a song about a song to sing all over this land. It's not that kind of music I still can hear him sing. Oh, the 12 strings on the wall now, waiting for a brighter day. I remember when it only took one voice and one guitar to bring the world together. To bring the world together. To bring the world together, singing music from the heart.
There comes the time when skies are dark and hate and fear surrounds us, and we know that we've lost our way, and pray that someone finds us. A child lost, a wounded soul, a country's heart that's bleeding, a broken promise once shined bright, now deep redemption needing. Oh Captain, oh Captain, you've placed the gifts before us, not by the sword, not by your might, but by your love restore us. Oh Captain, my Captain, you've placed the gifts before us, not by the sword, not by our might, but by our grace restore us. Snatched from the jaws of hungry lust for wealth and tyrant's power, you sanctified our land once more, now in our desperate hour. What thanks to gift this mortal soul wants not but to serve us. Let history show that it was not, but decency preserved us. Oh Captain, my Captain, you've placed the gift before us, not by the sword, not by your might, but by your love restore us. Not by our sword, not by our might, but by our love restore us. Okay.
All right, dear one.
Yes.
Bye-bye, babe. Bye, Esme.
Goodbye, you guys.
Thank you,
Bye,
Esme.
sweetie. We'll
Nice.
talk.
All right. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Petey.
Bye-bye.
Love you.